Hey there, how is it going, and welcome back to my channel. So in this one, we're gonna go ahead and start off from where we stopped in the last video. So in the last video, we went ahead and configured our basic templates in Django so that we don't have to write down all our codes over here in the views.py. Rather, we write them in a particular template.html, like let's say for example home.html or about.html. So we write down our codes over here, and hopefully you understood what we did in the last video. And if you don't still understand, you could drop a comment on the last video and I'll make sure to reply whatever error that you're encountering. But in this one, we want to go ahead and start rendering our data in the front end over here. So we want to go ahead and start rendering some dummy data in the front end. Take note, it's not real data, it's just dummy data. And how do we do that? So we want to come over to our views.py. And in our views.py, just take a close look at what I'm doing over here. So this is going to be just a dummy data. So we're going to say post, and this post is going to have a list. Just follow along, and in here we're going to have a dictionary. So this dictionary is going to have an author. So there's going to be an author, and let's say the author is going to be let's say me, Destin Franks, and I want to duplicate this in 4 places, and make sure that you're adding a comma after every instance. Okay, so after the author, we want to have like a title of our blog post. So let's say this is gonna be whatever, you can say blog post 1, and finally, sorry, not finally, we want to have also the content of the blog, and let's say this is gonna be something like this is my first blog post, and finally we want to have date posted. So the dates that the user posted the blog post, and this is going to be, for example, if I just say 7th August, and that's my birthday, so 7th August 2021. Yeah, so after this, the next thing we want to do is just go ahead and duplicate this, so we have like 2 posts from 2 different users. So I want to fix the indentation over here, and we're getting an error, so we add a comma, so everything works totally fine. And I think we are still getting an error over here, and let me see what the error is saying. Okay, that's not where we're supposed to add a comma. I actually got rid of that, so we add a comma over here, and everything should work fine. So with this now, I want to go ahead and change the author, title, content, and date posted of the second user. So let's say this is going to be Jane Doe, and the title, let's say blog post 2, and I'm going to say this is my second blog post. And date posted, let's say it should be 14th August 2020, whatever, 2021. So with this now, everything should work really fine. Let's come over here and refresh. Now, what do you think is going to happen? Nothing. And that's because we need to pass this in to our template as a context. So how do we pass this into our template as a context? And let me say something. If you're a beginner, this should be like kind of confusing to you. I expect it to be confusing to you because I actually ran into that problem when I was starting out with context and dictionaries in Django. But with time, trust me, it should get really, really easy. Let's say in the next 3 months, if you're coming back to watch this video, you'll be like, oh my god, this was really easy. But for now, if you're a beginner, for example, you're just starting out with Django, you're 1 month into Django or 2 months into it, and you're still finding it difficult, it's totally fine. Do not stress out, do not freak out, you are still on track. So with this now, we want to pass this into our template as a context, and what you want to do is come down here and want to say context is equal to a dictionary. Yeah, it's supposed to be a dictionary. Then firstly, we're going to say post, so that's going to be the key, and we're going to set it to post, which is this one over here. So let me try my possible best to explain what's going on over here. Now I want to pass in all those things that I did to this template over here, but I don't want to copy it, come over here and post it. That's insane. But what I want to do is set it to a list, and this list is going to have a dictionary so that I can access keys. If you know what dictionary in Django are, they are key value pairs. So this is the key, this is the value. When you call the title, you get this one. When you call the contents, you get this one. When you call date posted, you get this one. So how do I now pass this into my template over here? Or how do I pass it into this render function that we are using? So in order to do that, we firstly define the context. You can name this whatever you want. So we define the context, and this context has a dictionary. Now we now set any key to it. We could give this post, whatever you want, blah blah blah. But I just gave it post, and I assigned it to posts. So what this means now is whenever we call this post, we want to get this one, and what this one is holding is all this, and this is it over here. So this is the same as this is the same as this. Now this is a totally different thing that we are going to pass in here to access everything that we are doing here. Hopefully you understand. So now we're going to pass in context. So we pass in this context to our template over here. Now when we come over here, we should now run a for loop and get everything that's in here. Now how do we do that? Firstly, let me just say I want to get rid of this paragraph over here, and I want to get rid of this one, and we're just going to stick with blog home and HR here. So we have a horizontal row just like that. Now the next thing I want to do here is open up double curly brackets, and I want to pass in $sign in it. So in Django, this is how we write Python codes in Django. So this is the way you do it. For example, let's say you want to write a for loop, or you want to write an if statement, or you want to write a while loop, whatever. This is how we do it in Django. You don't just come over here and start writing for this, for post in post. Django is not going to recognize it because it's in a HTML template. So you want to open up double curly brackets, and in this double curly brackets, we're going to say for posts in posts, just like that. Hopefully you understand what's going on. So for posts, or we could do other words to it, whatever you want to do, for posts in post. And when you are working with this kind of stuff that we used to write Python codes in Django, you want to make sure that you end off any loop that you open. For example, let's say I open up a for loop, you want to make sure that you are ending it off. But for now, let's not end this off, so we're gonna get an error, and you will see why we are supposed to end things off. So if I come over here and refresh, let's see. As you can see, it says unclosed tag on line 10. It specifically told you that there's an unclosed tag for this one, and it says it's looking for one of empty or end for. So that's what we are supposed to add over here, end for, and this should work fine. So with this, now we have a for loop, but we have nothing in this for loop. The first thing we want to do is go ahead and run a h3 command. So this h3 command is gonna have the title of the post. So in Django, this is how we call variables. For example, I want to call the post variable that we used over here, this keys. This is how we're gonna call it in Django. So we're gonna open up double curly brackets, and this one has no $sign. And in here, what I want to do is just call posts.title. So with this, now when we come over here and refresh, what do you notice? We get blog post 1 and blog post 2, and that's because that's what we used over here. For example, let's say this is blog www post 1. Now when we refresh, you see, let's see, you see we get the blog this post 1. So whatever is in here, it's what we passed in here just by saying posts.title. And posts over here is because we say it posts. For example, let's say we say it post sets. Now when we refresh this, nothing is going to work. Now we still have to add post sets over here for it to work the way we want. Hopefully you understand what's going on. Whatever we use here is what we're going to use here. So whatever we use here, we're going to use it the same place. So with this, now the next thing I want to say is go ahead and open up a paragraph tag like that, and we're going to say by. So this was posted by, and we are going to call the author. Hopefully you understand what's going on. So we're going to call the author post.author. Now when we come over here and refresh, you see by Destiny Franks on, and that's going to be the date that it was posted. And if you remember, we stored that with date underscore posted. So we're going to say on posts.date underscore posted. And if you refresh, you see we get on 7th August 2021. And finally, we now want to call the content. So whatever the post content is or the blog content is, so we want to call it. And how do we do that? So we open up double curly brackets, and in here we're going to say posts.content. Now when we refresh, you see everything is working totally fine. You see we get blog post 1 by Destiny Franks on 7th August 2021, and this is my first blog post. And we also get the blog post 2 by Jane Doe on 4th August 2021. This is my second blog post. And let's just say I want to space this out. I'm just going to come over here and space things out so things get spaced out, yeah, whatever. So with this, now as you can see, we finally arrived at something, and it's really amazing. So you see how we can write Python codes in Django, and you could also write if statements. So let's write an if statement for our title over here. For example, what we want to do is, let's say if the user defined a title, then we should go ahead and pass in title. But let's say the user didn't define a title, then want to use like our own basic title. So how we do that is just come over here, and we're gonna open up this, and we're gonna say if title. So follow along with what I'm doing. So I'm saying if title, then I want to pass in this, and I'm say Django blog or let's say if title, let's just pass in whatever the user want to pass in as title. We're going to open up the double curly brackets and we're going to say title over there. So whatever the user passes in as title, that's what we're going to use. And take note, we're still going to write a dictionary for this. Don't freak out here. So with this now, we're going to do an else statement. So else, if the user doesn't have a title, we just want to pass in our own dummy title. So we're going to pass in our own, and let me make sure this is indented the right way. And our own title is going to be something like, let's say it should be whatever, let's just say Django blog here. So if the user has a title, pass in their own title. If they don't have a title, pass in our own title. And do you remember what I told you guys? You must end any if statements, for loops, while loops, whatever you open. So we're gonna say end if. So this now it should work totally fine. So when we come over here now and refresh, you see we get Django blog, and that's because there was no title that was passed in here. And even if you come about to our about page, you see we don't get anything. That's because we don't have this same code in our about page. But I think let's copy this and paste it in our about page, and hopefully you understand what's going on. If you don't, drop a comment on this video. Wherever, I must still come back and help you guys out with any confusion you are encountering. So with this now, we come over here and refresh. You see we get Django blog, and that's because no title was defined for this. Now let's go ahead and give let's give our home title, and let's not give our blog a title. Okay, let's say we want to give our about a title, and we're not going to give the home a title. So you want to do this, all you need to do is open up a dictionary. So we want to pass in a title to this one, and how we do that is open up a dictionary, and in this dictionary we are simply going to say title. So we're going to say let's say we should pass this in a string, and we're going to say title, and here we're going to say about page. Yeah, let's just say about. I don't know why do I keep typing that. Yeah, so with this now, let's go ahead and refresh our about page and see what we have. So over here now, you refresh, you see we now get about page, and that's because we have added a particular title to it, and as you can see we get the same thing. So hopefully you understand what went on into writing this titles over here. Okay, with this now, I think we are done adding the for loops and the titles. Now, what we want to do is go ahead and do what is called template inheritance in Django. So just take a close look at what I want to do right now. So this is our home.html, and this is our about.html. Now I'm gonna go like back and forth from the both of them, and tell me what you think repeated itself over here. So this is home, this is about, this is home, this is about, this is home, this is about. Now what do you think is repeating itself? Now you see everything from here, I think they are repeating themselves. You see, right? Everything from there is repeating themselves. So we don't want to write repeated codes all over. For example, we don't want all the templates that we're going to be creating to have the same thing hardly coded into them. We want to have like a base template, like a daddy template or like a mama template that's gonna contain all these basic things that we need. Then we are just gonna extend from that papa template or mama template. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. So let's go ahead and do that. Now here I want to create a new template, and we're going to name this base. So base.html, and this page.html, we're going to get rid of everything that's in it. Now we're going to copy everything that's in our about.html and paste it in here. So you remember we have this title, let me just give a comment, and this is going to be title. Yeah, so we have title. Okay, this is not how to do comments in HTML. Yeah, it's like that. So this is our title, and we also have this stuff over here. So I want to get rid of this one. Let's just get rid of this. Okay, so in the base.html, now we have this title thing that this ones have. So what we want to do is get rid of everything that's in the base.html from the home.html. So we're going to get rid of all this, and we're going to fix the indentation just like that. And also in the about.html, we also want to get rid of all this and get rid of all this. So we get rid of all this. So with this now, let's just fix the indentation for this. So with this now, when we come over here and refresh, everything should still work fine, but there's something I want to show you guys. So this is our base.html. Let's say that I want to have something here that says navbar, and I want it to show on the about page and on the home page. So you see nothing is showing up here, nothing is showing up in the about page. Now what do we have to do? We have to extend from this base.html, and in order to do that, you want to come over to home.html, come over at the top and create double curly brackets with percentage signs in them, and in it we're gonna say extends like that, and we want to extend from blog slash base.html. So when we come over to our home.html now and refresh, let's see. As you can see, we now have navbar, and that's because we added this navbar over here. Now there's something that's called block content, or whatever content you want to call. So we can say block content. Now we want whatever that's in this block content to get displayed on our website. So we're gonna say block content, and we are gonna say and block content. Then make sure I'm spelling that right. So with this now, let's indent this, and now nothing is still showing up. So block contents in Django, they are like these things that helps us wrap our basic codes that we want to show up on our different templates. I don't really know the most basic term that I'm going to use to describe that, but maybe when we work with this, you're going to understand what it does. So you see this stuff is no longer showing up over here, and it's just showing this navbar over here. Now how do we fix this? You see this block content thing that we did over here. We also want to put any codes that we want to show up here inside block content. So we're gonna paste block contents down here just like that, and we're gonna copy all our codes and put it into the block content, and we're gonna fix the indentation. So let me fix the indentation and also fix the indentation, and let's take this up a bit. So with this now, when we refresh, what do you notice? We have all our codes back, and that's just because it's sitting in this block content. So let's say we got rid of, like, we added the very simple thing to the block contents to make an error pop up. You see it says this does not work really fine. So with this now, everything should work fine. But how about if we come over to our about page? Now you see nothing still shows up. Now we still want to extend from our about page, so we're going to copy this, come over to our about page, and we're going to paste this in here, and finally we're going to end this with end block content. So we're gonna create that, and we're gonna say end block content. Now when we refresh our about page, you see we now have navbar. So whatever shows up in our base template is going to show up in our home, about, register, profile, whatever template. So like what I'm trying to say now is our about template, our home template is going to be like a subset of our base template. Hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say. So our base template is like the ruling template. Whatever that shows up in here is gonna show up in all our codes. Hopefully you understand what's going on. Okay, with this now, I think we want to go ahead and start styling our page. So to style our page, I already have a code written down here for our home.html, our profile, our CSS, and all that. So you don't want to watch me type all this out. It's going to be really long and boring for you guys to sit and watch me type out all this. So I already have all this done for you guys. All you have to do is just go to the GitHub link below and download all this codes if you are following along. So let's go ahead and start working with this now. Firstly, we want to grab everything in the home.html, and we are gonna paste it in our home.html over here. So we're gonna paste the same thing in here, but there's something I want to do. You remember that we worked with this base.html. We don't want our home.html to be like the base. We don't want it to be like the Papa HTML. We want it to be our base. So that's where we're going to paste the code that we copied. And hopefully you understand what's going on. So we paste the code. Now, when we come over here and refresh, what do you notice? We now have some other things over here. And this is showing up really bad because we don't have our CSS yet configured. So let's go ahead and make our CSS configured. So in order to add a CSS, you also want to create in this templates place, you also want to create a new folder, and you want to name it static. So we're gonna say static, and in the static you want to create a new directory again, and you want to name it whatever the name of your application is. In my case it's blog. Then in here you want to now create a CSS file. So we're gonna say main. So we're gonna say main.css, and as you can see we have a CSS file in here. So I'm just gonna copy my CSS file that I have over here already. I'm just gonna copy this, and I'm gonna come over here and paste it just like that. So with this now, if we come over here and refresh, nothing is still gonna happen, and that's because we haven't linked our CSS to our base.html. So how do we do that? You see we have this one over here, we have this link over here that links it, but we don't just link things like this in Django. You have to create curly brackets, pass in percentage signs, and there's gonna be a static whatever in there, and after that we're gonna call where our template is. So it's in blog/main.css. So with this now, when we come over here and the refresh, what do you notice? we started getting something. So you say it's invalid block tag on line this. So this is it over here. Let's see. And that's because that we haven't loaded CSS. So let's come over here and open up this. We're gonna say load static. So with this now, let's refresh, and as you can see, everything gets fine. The error is no longer there, but this is not still looking good. Now, how do we make this look good? You know, we are using Bootstrap, and Bootstrap actually requires internet connection for it to work really well. So let me just make sure that I am connected to the internet, and let me just keep refreshing this, and hopefully it should. Okay guys, and as you can see, I refreshed and this is how it's looking now, but this isn't really what I want. I actually have some things down that I did over here. So what I want to do is just come over here and stop my server. So I'm just gonna cut my server and make sure that this is not working again, so we get an error. And finally, I'm gonna run my server again, and after this, then we'll come over here and refresh. So this is actually what I want over here, but this background isn't actually looking good. That's not really what I want. So I'm gonna come over here and let me see. I want some that looks like this. Yeah, like that. So I'm just gonna copy this code in here, come over here, come over to our main.css, and let's replace this with it. Okay, so this will already be done for you, so you don't have to do it again. So I have this really nice looking, so I'm not really that's an expert with HTML and CSS, but at least I just want to get something going, so we have something that we look onto as a blog. So with this now, I think we are good to go. Let's go ahead and display our dummy data that we rendered over here. So how do we do that? Now I already have another one that I wrote over here. It's called article.html. So we're just gonna copy this and come over to our home.html, and we're gonna paste it in here. So in between this block content, we're just gonna get rid of every other thing in here. And I think, okay, from here inside of 4, then we're gonna paste it just like that. Let me get rid of this. So follow along with what I'm doing. I wanna firstly, let me fix the indentations. So I'm gonna copy this and highlight it, and I want to fix the indentations. I want to also get rid of this one because we are gonna extend, and I want to fix the space over here, fix the space over here, and I think that should be it. So the next thing I want to do is just extend, and it's already extended. So when we come over here now and refresh, what do you notice? Nothing happens. So that's because of one thing. It's in the block content already, but in our base.html, our block content is commented out. So this is it over here. We just want to uncomment it. Now when we come over here now and refresh, you see that we now have this stuff, and I want to get rid of this blog home. So how do we do that? We just have to manually come over to our home.html, and we're going to get rid of the block home and the horizontal rule, just like that. Okay, and this is actually what I want. So with us now, our dummy data isn't showing up. That's because we used posts, and over here it's showing posts. So we just want to add a couple s to this, add an s to this, add an s to this, and finally add an s to this. So with this now, everything should work really fine, and I think it looks nice to me. Maybe we could just use this and keep working on this video. So with this now, that's pretty much what we want to do, and we will just add, let's say, just basic stylings, and before we go ahead and wrap up this video. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and change basic links. So for the about, the home, and we're going to change a couple styling. So in our base.html, if we come over to the home page, now we want to add a link, so that when we click on the home page, it takes us to the home. So double curly brackets, percentage signs, and in there we're gonna say URL. And you remembered we named the home view blog dash home, and we named the about view blog dash about. Hopefully you understand what's going on. So we're gonna paste this in here, and we're gonna say blog dash about. So when we come over here now and refresh, if we click on about, it takes us to about page. If we click on home, it brings us back to the home page, and that's really looking nice. But in our about page, things are not really looking nice over here. Let me just make things look good. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of this. So I want to create a div. So we're just going to create a div over here, and let's say this div is going to have a class of container. So it's going to have a class of container like that, and in here that's where we're going to say a h1, and we're going to say blog about. So just like that. Now let me fix this capitalization over there. So now when we come over to our about page, you see the way it's looking. I want to also add a basic style to this, so I'm just going to add a style. I'm going to add a background color, so background, and this should be white. And I also want to add a padding to it, and the padding should be, let's say, 20px, and I also want to add a margin top. So I'm going to add a margin top, and that should be like 10px. So this now, when we refresh, you see we have this. And finally, let me just make things stick with convention. I'm going to add a border radius. So border radius, this is going to be, let's say 20px. So as you can see, looking not bad. So now we have a home, we have a blog about. So that's really amazing, and I like the way things turned out to be over here. Now, what I want to do in the next video is go ahead and start working with the admin page. So we're going to work with our admin page, work with users and all those, work with our database, and pretty much you should understand the way admin, database and all that work in this course. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, learned something new, and the video, to make sure to drop a like on this video, consider subscribing, and also drop a comment. And if you're getting any error at all, do make sure to drop a comment on this video, and I'll try my possible best to resolve whatever issues you might be encountering. And also, you might have an error over here. Before we go ahead and quote this video, you might have an error that's making your background color not to show up. So in your base.html, do make sure to bring your style sheet above your bootstrap. So make sure that your bootstrap is above your style sheet. For example, let's say this now is above here. Then when we refresh our website, you see nothing shows up. So just make sure that you are sticking with the convention that we have been using, and everything should work really fine for you. So that's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully you learned something new, and I'll see you in my next video. Make sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe and all that. I hope I'll see you in my next video. Mad love, peace out.